So we have another 10, 15 minutes. So Kelly, go ahead.
I actually didn't prepare a closing statement, so I'll just kind of talk a little bit about stuff that we've talked about today. For me, what's so important is someday, you know, I want to have kids, and I would love to be able to, when my kids look at me and they say, "Mom, I really want to, you know, own my own business," or "I really want to be the next Bill Gates," or "I really want to be an astronaut," or "I really want to do this. I want to be a physicist. I want to be a biologist. I want to do all these things," that I can look them back in the eye and say, "Go for it. You've got every path ahead of you. Nobody is going to stand in your way." I want to be able to tell them that if they want to be a millionaire, then go for it. You can do it. And of course, I want to teach them values like charity and generosity, so that when they do become those millionaires, that they'll be like Bill Gates and they'll give back to their community. But I don't ever want them to lose a sparkle in their eye thinking, well, what's the point if they're just going to take it from me when I reach or pass a certain threshold? Because then I all of a sudden become some sort of pariah, some sort of evil person, some sort of monster for simply being successful. I don't ever want to punish success. And as a teacher, I can tell you right now that when you would never punish success. You lift people up. You don't equalize everyone by smashing everyone down to this sort of mediocre level. What you do is you open up the opportunities for everyone to get lifted up, everyone to raise themselves and follow their dreams. And when you are incentivized to be mediocre, then that's what you're going to be. That's what we're all going to be. But when you incentivize success, yeah, you know what? Sports players make $20 million. Do you think that that a kid who wants to be a professional basketball player is going to work his butt off to become that professional sports player if there's not that reward? If basketball players made $5 a year, I highly doubt people would spend their whole lives trying to become professional basketball players. Same thing goes for people in other lucrative careers like doctors or lawyers or whatever it is, researchers, people like that. There's an incentive, and that incentive is to be successful. And a lot of those people want to be successful so that they can turn around and take care of their families and take care of their neighbors. Unless I'd like to say that the more the government gets involved, I think the more we break our bonds of civil society between person to person. When my grandfather passed down in New Mexico, my grandmother's neighbors knew she was alone. We lived in Colorado at the time. We weren't near her. And they knew she needed help mowing her lawn. They knew she needed a hot meal, that kind of thing. And so they reached out and they helped her. And I feel like nowadays we all assume that the government's going to take care of that next person. And I think we lose this really human connection that personal charity, reaching out from one person to the next, brings with it. And I think it's sad, and I think it's lonely, and I think it's depressing to have people think, well, I'm just going to write an extra few dollars to the government in taxes and that they'll take care of everybody. I don't need to do a thing. And I truly believe that if you really want to make a difference and you really want people to have homes, instead of marching for more government assistance and more government money and more money from the rich to build those homes, go out and build them yourself. Go to have it. Your money. You do it. Donations, private donations and charity. All I'm saying is all these hours, all these man hours that are spent begging the government for more money, we could all instead be putting those hours to good use in making food and working in the soup kitchen and doing all of these things for each other rather than depending on some arbitrary, cold, unfeeling, elitist government system to trickle the dollars down to the people who need it. I'd much rather give my money straight to an organization than give it to the government.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
God bless you. We disagree, but God bless you. Okay.
Okay.
I really think that I think it's become clear throughout the course of this discussion today, and I want to thank everyone for your patience and participation, and I want to thank you too. But I think throughout the course, it's become clear to me that what the ideology that you're putting out there about capitalism rewarding those who work hard it doesn't really add up. Like if you look at the actual evidence, it's not just I'm using Eddie. I came to some conclusions based on evidence. I think if you look at the evidence, it shows that capitalism does not reward hardworking people. For example, 5 of the 11 richest people in the world are in the Walton family, and they inherited the Walmart chain from their daddy. They did no work for their money, and they're 5 of the 11 richest people in the world. And how did they earn their money? Because they exploited an army of sweatshop workers and minimum wage workers all around the world, in China and the United States. Those people are hardworking people, yet they're getting minimum wage. The ones that inherited, inheritance from their daddy, they are the richest people in the world. That's the reality of capitalism that I don't think that you're addressing. I did appreciate earlier how you said that you're open to considering viewpoints. I always try and remain open also to considering viewpoints. I think if you look at the reality, the free market ideology that you're currently adopting doesn't really mesh with the actual reality of what's going on. And I think like there's Bill Gates there's a few capitalists like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett who donate a little bit, who are not as bad as the Walton family, who are brutal, selfish, greedy capitalists. But I would have to ask why should we live in a society where it's just up to those few wealthy individuals to decide how much they want to donate, because it's clearly not addressing the situation. There are 47 million Americans who lack health insurance. I think those 10 to 15 million immigrants, undocumented working class immigrants that come to this country, I think they deserve health care. They're working hard. They're picking our cucumbers and tomatoes. They work in our restaurants. They deserve health care. I think children deserve health care. I think the impoverished, we agree that the impoverished also deserve health care. So, why should we, Bill Gates, he donates $1 million here, $1 million there. That's nice of him. Billions, great. But he still has roughly $56 billion. And I think that is a waste of resources. The other thing that I think is crazy about the free market ideology of the Tea Party is you say that you're against big government and that big government is a problem. But actually, I think if you look at the reality, you're only against big government when it's for certain things, when it's for public services that benefit the majority of the population, like health care for everyone or housing for everyone. You have no real problem. I heard no serious opposition to the biggest government program that we have, which is the giant U.S. military, which is a total waste of resources. And if we're really against big government, we should be consistent. I mean, I think your ideology, you're selective. You're against big government sometimes, but not other times. You're fine when it's against immigrants. You're fine when it's against, when it's for occupying other countries. But you're not against big government when it's the Patriot Act passed by Bush, as well as the Democrats, unfortunately. Or you're fine. You're not fine with big government when it's to providing things that people need, like housing and health care. I think the reality, while Keli is clearly a caring person who wants to help individuals, she works in a field where she's helping low-income privileged people. I think the ideology that you currently adopt is reality, an ideology that's promoted by the ruling elite, and it benefits primarily the ruling elite. It doesn't really benefit the majority of the population. Like Reagan and Bush, George W. Bush, the second Bush, they promised to reduce deficits. They claimed to be against big government when they were running for president, but then once they got into office, they racked up the worst deficits in history. They expanded the military enormously. So the free market ideology and the Tea Party ideology, while it claims to benefit ordinary people, it in reality only benefits the ruling class. We want to lift people up so that everyone has a fair chance, an equal chance, and be empowered to enjoy life to the fullest.
Thank you all very much. I want to urge people to stay in their chairs for a few more minutes. We have a few last items to deal with, but I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. I think it was a really great debate. I want to thank Keli and Ramy for agreeing to do this debate.